Now I'm going to be showing you how to create a table where the main heading or title is not part of the table. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up a blank Word document. You're going to do the same steps you did with the last table, but this time you're going to change some stuff. So we're going to do no spacing. We're going to make sure we go to Layout, Page Setup, and change the layout from Page Vertical Alignment to Page Vertical Alignment Centered. Now, since this poem does not have its title as part of the table, we're going to just type the words of the poem or the title of this poem. So in this case, we'll write the words poems, all caps, to improve our lives. Okay, that's how we start the table. We're going to hit enter, and here is where we're actually going to start the actual table part of this activity. So I'm going to open up my book to the Poems to Improve so that we can start the process of typing this section. All right, I'm almost there. Okay, so now I'm going to look at my table's instructions, and I'm going to look to see what kind of rows and columns I need to make. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows and 2 columns. So what I'm going to go do is go to the Insert tab, go to the Columns section, and I'm going to do my 8 columns down, my 8 rows down, and my 2 columns across. You'll notice your title is not centered right now, so what we can do is we can do a Control E on the actual title of our section. We need to have our column headings. We're going to do bold. We're going to do capital POEM. We'll worry about the bolding in a little bit. I'm going to write the words writing, written by. By has to be a capital. We're going to tab, and we're going to write our first poem, Great Men. We're going to write the author of the poem. Tab, we're going to do the next one. Success. Tab. And we're going to write the name of the next individual. We hit tab. We're going to step next to the third line. We're going to do the name of the poem. We're going to do the column. Tab, next line. Tab. I made a mistake, and I'll go back later to fix it. I'm just going to keep typing since I'm on a roll. Tab. The goal is not to make too many mistakes. If you make a mistake, you could always go back to fix it. You want to kind of type in a fashion that actually is pretty quick and easy. I'm almost done. This is the second to the last poet and poem that I need to write. And you'll notice there's no numbers in this table, and that's okay. Tables don't have to have numbers. For your project, you will need to do a table that has at least one number in it. Last poem. Okay, now we can go back to do some changes to our poem. So we'll notice our poem title needs to be bold, so I'm going to highlight the title and do a Control B. I'm going to highlight the first row, do a Control B as well. We want our title for our column headings to be in the center, so we're going to do a Control E to make that work out. Now what I'd like to do is I want to make sure I can shrink this table a little bit. So I'm going to just drag it into the middle a little bit so that all the words are still in the same row and not change to the different row. Same thing here. Now for this poem, there is no source note. So all we have to do now is to make sure everything fits here. We got a spell check here. Robert Frost, not Frost. Frost. Make sure we check our example. Make sure we did not miss anything. We're going to go to Insert. We're going to go to Header Footer. We're going to insert a footer. We're going to write the name, our name, first and last name, please. I'm going to write the name of the poem or the name of the table that I made. I'm just going to shorten it to Poems to Improve. And I'm going to put the period that we're in, period 6. Now that I've finished that, I can close my header footer section. I'll check my work one more time, and I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to name it. In this case, I'm going to name it Poems to Improve. Then I'm going to put a dash, my last name, and then my first name again. Now, pretend that we want to add design to this table. Before we post it, we can do that if we'd like to, before we post it to Turnitin.com. Now, design is found in the table design section of tables. So I'm going to click on design. Right now we have grid lines, and you can see the grid lines that divide our poems, columns, and rows so that we can kind of organize our viewing and read from left to right. Now you could change your type by actually going across the top here and checking out which ones you like for your poem. There are different designs, and every time you hover over them, you will see a tooltip, which is what design changes will happen. So in this case, this is called Grid Table 1 Light -Accent 4. Okay, each one of them has a different name. So let's say I want to open up and see what other examples I have. So I have grid tables, plain tables, and then list tables. So maybe you want something like a list table. You want something nice. Maybe you want something with some color. We could do that. Now you'll notice once we put the design on this, it kind of shifted our table. So all you have to do is kind of drag it over a little bit, kind of center it above or below the title, and that's how you add a design. Now let's say you want to change the design color. You like the blue, the dark blue at the top, and you like this color, light blue, but you want to change row 2. You can actually change the shading by actually going to the shading section and actually change the shading to whatever color you feel is necessary for this. So maybe you want to make it a little bit different for everybody, every row, or the whole table in general. You can add an additional third color if you'd like. You'll notice they're still here with columns and rows because it shows right here up in the indicator that there's still a column 1 and a column 2. It just doesn't show the lines for column 1 and column 2. Now here's what you could do to add a color to your actual table. I hope this was helpful. This is an example of how a table will not have the main heading or title in the table. Now let's say we had a secondary heading. We could actually hit enter below or after the word lives, and we can add, let's say it's a year, 1950 to 2001. We could do that as well to add our secondary title. Or maybe you want to add a title or secondary title as part of the table. Now, in order to add an extra row, we knew how to tab over, but we can also add an extra row in a different way. You can actually go to Table Design and Table Layout, And over here, there's something called columns and rows. You can actually insert a new row above, or you can add an extra column to the left or to the right of this table. You can also delete a cell, which is a box, a column, a row, or the whole table. Okay? This concludes this video. I hope it's helpful.